Good afternoon, Joe.
Hi.
My name is Charlie Wolf, and I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Uptick Studios, an architecture and interior design firm here in Spokane. And I have a passion for education or alternative education. I'm on the board of a nonprofit called AIR Learning, AIER, the Alliance for Innovative Educational Redesign. And that's my connection to TCS. And so we've done some learning journeys to the community school. We've done learning journeys to other schools in the community. So that's my connection.
Nice.
Grateful to be here.
Thank you.
Hi Joe, my name is Dr. Erica Sullivan. I teach journalism and media studies at Whitworth University. And my connection to TCS is I had the great fortune to work with them in a civic engagement project as one of my courses. And this is an opportunity for me to further support the work of the school.
Nice. Thank you for coming.
Joe or Joseph, which do you prefer?
Joe.
Okay, awesome. I have a name that people try to shorten and I hate it, so I
Oh, yeah.
I'm Kenji. I work for the League of Education Voters. I'm an education advocate that works to push for education reform at the local and state policy levels. I am also starting a podcast called Grad to bring community leaders into a space to talk about why they do the work that they do. I was a wellness instructor at the community school, and I'm Tammy's #1 son. That's my name.
Nice. Thanks for coming.
I'm Ryan Lancaster. I'm the Media Marketing Director for Spokane Schools, and so that is my connection to TCS. I go to all the schools, try to tell as many stories as I can about what you're all doing, and TCS is a great school for us.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'm Ben Baird. I'm the Eastern Regional Manager for Schools Out Washington, and we're a statewide agency that focuses on out-of-school time environment for young kids. And my connection to TCS is that I was also a wellness instructor as well.
Nice. All right. Well, thank you guys for coming. Again, I'm Joe Blanchard, and this is my grad defense right here. This is the last one of these I'll ever do.
Did you hit that one switch?
Oh, I did not. My bad. Which one was it? Oh, here we go. Thank you. All right. So, through TCS, my time working actual jobs through high school and generally learning skills just in my own personal time, I think I've learned a lot about myself, and I've developed into someone who's really ready to pursue their actual goals outside of high school, and I think I'm really ready to graduate. Among other things, I learned how to communicate with people, how to reach out to people to get what I need, and how to put actual effort into all of my work. So my next steps, I plan on continuing my job at Lovesac over in the downtown mall. I don't know if any of you guys have been there. We sell some like fancy couches and stuff. But I want to continue doing that while I study criminal justice at SEC. After 2 years at SEC, I'm going to look into transferring to a university for my last 2 years. I'm looking for a career in law in the future. And so I'm hoping that staying employed the whole time, I'll be able to pay for most of at least SEC out of pocket. I plan to go to college debt-free. So as for some of the arguments of why I should graduate, I think just academically, I'm somewhat prepared. I thought I'd have like a laptop on this, so I've got some links here. I don't know if I can still click on those at all, if that's possible. Oh, okay. All right. So, one thing that I included here were my SAT scores. Well, not the scores, but I figured that might be a little too personal. But I'm in the 88th percentile of people who took the SAT. And test scores aren't everything, obviously. That's not showing any real life skills. But I am going to have to do a lot of school to get into a career in law. And so I think showing my testing ability and maybe just the fact that I can do well in traditional school settings is definitely a big help. I've been accepted and invited to go to a session about the criminal justice program in SEC, so I've got my foot in the door there. I'm ready to actually get started on this. And just as sort of an example of how my work has grown, in my first at least 2 years at TCS, most of my work was done pretty, school appropriate way to say this, lazily, maybe. Don't get me wrong, I did good work, but not nearly as good as I could have done. And I think one of the first assignments that I did that really proved to me, at least, that I was starting to put more effort into things was this one right here. This was in a project called Saving Social, which was about social media and its impact on society and just some of the things that comes with that. And one of our things we had to do was write an argumentative essay about whether or not social media use should be regulated at all in the country. And the general goal was to write that with a word limit because everyone was going to submit their essays to some sort of newspaper get published. And what I'm really proud of is right here, I actually had my essay published in the Spokesman Review in their editor, or letter to the editor section. What's the full screen? Is it F9?
I don't remember the keyboard shortcut. You can also go to the 3 dots in the top right, and then down there, that box on the right.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. All right, now for working. Now this is a little more relevant to just my life outside of school because I think it's going to be very important that I'm employed in order to afford all of the school that I'm going to go to and also just to survive on my own eventually. One thing I did was I have had a resume for quite a while because ever since I think the beginning of my 301 year, I've been employed. There was a small break in between there before I went to LoveSac, but we ignore that part. And so I think I have a lot of marketable skills that'll help me stay employed no matter what happens. Some of the things that are included in my resume as some of my main skills are customer service, memorization, communication, and accepting coaching and direction. I've also got a lot of experience now in just the jobs that are always going to be there. I worked at a grocery store before what I do now, so I've got stuff like janitorial skills and actual experience in customer service rather than just saying I'm good at it. And so I think that's going to keep my hireability up, which will allow me to sustain myself. I've also learned some interview skills now. My father has done a lot of interviews, and I think he's like a pretty successful guy. So I've gotten quite a few tips from him, stuff like bringing one of these to every interview I go to. Just makes me look more prepared, things like that. And then right now my job is helping me save up a lot of money for SEC and then everything afterwards. And I think it's a place I can grow as a person and as a worker, and there's room for me to move up in sort of the ladder there. Now, I also want to focus on staying healthy as well, because I think that's going to be very important. Just being able to afford things and being mentally capable of doing them does not mean that I'll be able to succeed and stay healthy. So I've got drumming and Grow Cook Eat here. Shout out to Ryan for teaching that class. So as for why drumming's in there for my health, that's more of a mental health thing. I love drumming. TCS, I've done African hand drumming there for all of my years of high school, and I recently bought my own right there because I want to continue drumming after TCS. So I hear there's, I haven't looked into it or signed up for it or anything yet, but there are drumming communities at SEC, and there's other places all around here. It's fairly popular, so I should have no problem being able to join a community that does that. And then Grow Cook Eat was very good for just learning a couple recipes, some of the basics of cooking from Ryan. Now that'll just keep me fed. Won't have to eat out every single day, which will be quite helpful in the future. I've also been making a workout routine and using it ever since quarantine began. I had a lot of free time in the day, and I had trouble eating because I didn't do anything. I don't know if you guys have experienced that before, but it's not great. So I started doing a lot of strength training and a little bit of running, and that really helped me feel better, and I want to continue doing that just to see how good I can get at that, and it helps me mentally and physically keep my health. So that'll be good for the rest of my life. Now, what is this all actually for? So I think my academic achievements, they'll prepare me for the large amount of school that I'm going to have to do in the future, because there's going to be community college, and then there's going to be university, and then there's going to be law school, and that's probably going to be the hardest one. From what I understand, it's pretty intense stuff. So I think my academic achievements are going to help me through that. My current job and my ability to get more in the future are going to keep me, give me money, keep me alive until I'm able to achieve my goals, and that career in law will sort of also pay me, obviously, so I won't have to worry so much after that. But until then, I'll be able to get a job anywhere. My drumming, my cooking, and my exercise, those are going to keep me happy, and they're going to keep me healthy for as long as I continue to do them, which hopefully will be forever. I have a plan now, post-high school, and I have the means to go through with it. I'm ready to graduate, and I'm ready to move on to achieving my own goals, rather than what I've been assigned. Ask me questions, I dare you.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Dare accepted. What do you plan on doing with the criminal justice and law career education that you want to pursue?
I'm hoping to get into criminal law, and I think I want to be a prosecutor.
Just following up with that, where'd that interest come from?
Probably just exposure to a lot of media. Like I saw courtrooms a lot in like video games. I did a play in middle school in which I played a prosecutor. So it seemed interesting, so I started to look into what it was really like, and it still seems like a job that I'd be pretty well suited for. Public speaking and convincing people seems like one of my things.
I don't really have a question, but you seem practical kind of beyond your years, which, you're very well self-assured, and it's just something I noticed.
Thank you.
I appreciate the presentation, well put together, and I like interactive media. Going to an outside link was awesome. Just a nice nuance or difference. I had a similar question about what course of law you were looking at pursuing. That was answered. And then I guess my go-to is what did TCS, what might you take from TCS into this professional and or academic career in the future?
Oh, I think I can actually take quite a fair bit from TCS. I'm glad I went here. TCS had a huge emphasis on things like presentations with both these exhibitions and a lot of our assignments throughout the years. And I think speaking in a room full of people is going to be something I'll have to do a lot in the future. So I'm glad I sort of got ready for that.
I just have a note of encouragement as you think about your next, your time at SCC and then the full year that you'll transfer to. Take a lot of courses in research and a lot of courses in writing. You will spend vast amounts of time with law books. You will
I'm
spend
sure.
much less time in a courtroom than you actually think you will.
No, yeah.
So, really interesting studies of lawyers, especially those of criminal justice, who have broken down what they do, and they spend so much time with books and writing that people who come into law schools with those really strong research and writing skills are snapped up really quickly. So if you're hoping to get into that top tier law school, especially with maybe a really nice scholarship opportunity, show that you've got those skills,
Mhm.
you will impress the heck out of them.
Yeah, luckily, now that you mention it, research and writing is also something I've done a lot of at TCS, and also just something I'm interested in general. So I'm glad I'll be suited to that.
Journalism is good.
Journalism's a top 5 undergrad degree for law schools nationwide.
So Joe, something I really appreciate about you, and something and related to something you didn't mention that I thought you might highlight. So you're very focused, you're very thoughtful. In many aspects, you could be seen as quite academic and business, and yet you're a 4-year member of our African drumming group and have performed many times, including you're headed off to a performance this afternoon.
Sure am.
You also are a longtime participant in TCS theater productions and have then played the lead more than once, or?
I think more than once, yeah.
And so I guess 2 pieces of that. One is just an appreciation of that focused academic, get the job done side of you, but also that side of you that appreciates the arts and the outlet that those provide you and the community that you can develop there. And then I guess my ask of you is to talk a little bit more about that, those 2 sides of you, or if you even see it as 2 sides of you, and how the artistic side fits in.
Yeah, I guess I do see it as 2 sides. I think that was a good guess right there. Academically, I think I'm sort of in a totally different mindset whenever I'm in a classroom setting or anything like that where I have to get tasks done. And I'm very task-oriented in those. I'm like, get this thing done, get this thing done, get this thing done until eventually I'm out of work to do. But as far as the arts go, those never end. I don't finish doing any of that. Drumming, theater, there's no point that I get to where there's nothing else to do. I'll always be able to practice drumming. I'll never be the best drummer because there's no such thing. And I didn't mention this at all. I probably should have, but I'm glad I get the chance now. But from what I hear, there's a lot of crossover between people who are interested in theater and people who are interested in law. The Kaler family at TCS, they are pretty well known for being involved in theater, and I believe I heard from Carlin Kaler that pretty much all of them are lawyers or actors, which is pretty fun. So maybe I can be both. Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed having you in Grow Cookie. That was a lot of fun. I had you as a 101, 201 in projects, and then didn't really have a chance to connect with you a lot until having you in that class. And you really stepped up in that class to be a leader, organize things, and get things going. It was a lot of fun. And I was really happy to see that you did have that slide of like balancing, like I want to do this, that, and the other in life, but health, mental health, physical health is going to be important. My brother-in-law is a county prosecutor a couple blocks down here, and he's had to realize that mental health and physical health is very important for him to balance what he has to deal with and what he's seeing and finding out about our community from time to time. And so do you see yourself, you said something about looking into maybe a local drumming organization or something. How do you see yourself taking what you've learned at TCS about mental health, physical health, and maybe that balance in your professional life?
Yeah, TCS often has a pretty large focus on keeping yourself healthy as well as getting the things you need done. And I think a huge part of my plan for the future is to be able to have my work-life balance intact. Work myself too much, and I just won't be happy. Don't work enough, and I will, not succeed. So yeah, I do want to do things like just to pursue my interests. joining, a local drumming community, whatever I can find. Maybe do some acting at local theaters, or just, hang out, whatever I want to do in the future. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Joe, and congratulations